The heater clicked once, twice, then sighed like it had given up. I was on my knees by the vent, hands smudged with dust, when she said quietly, "You're good with your hands, aren't you?" That was the first time she'd ever spoken to me like that, half teasing, half something else. And I swear the air changed. She stood by the window, wrapped in a gray sweater that slipped slightly off one shoulder. The kind of detail you're not supposed to notice, but do anyway. Light from the late afternoon fell across her face, tracing every line that time had left and made more beautiful. I tried to focus on the screws, but her perfume, soft like something that used to be expensive, made thinking harder than it should have been. She was my landlord, or technically, the friend of a friend who owned the upstairs unit. I was just helping out because the repair guy never showed. Shouldn't take long, I had said. But I'd been here nearly 20 minutes, pretending the problem was more complicated than it was. Her living room was quiet, too quiet. The kind of silence that presses against your ears. Every sound I made, metal against metal, the soft creak of the floor, felt louder than it should. "You always this patient with broken things?" she asked. I turned slightly, met her eyes for the first time. There was confidence, but underneath it, something I couldn't name. A flicker that felt closer to loneliness than flirtation. I swallowed. "Only when they're worth fixing." She smiled, slow and deliberate. It wasn't just a smile, it was an acknowledgement. Like she'd heard what I didn't say. When the heater finally hummed to life, warm air brushed against my wrist. "There," I said, standing up, brushing off my hands. "You'll have heat again." She stepped closer, testing the warmth. Her fingers hovered near the vent, inches from mine. "It's not the room that's getting hot," she said softly. For a second, I thought I'd misheard. But her tone, steady, low, left no room for misunderstanding. I froze, caught between wanting to step back and not being able to. Her eyes stayed on me, curious, unafraid. Then she laughed, a light, almost embarrassed sound. "I'm joking," she said quickly, tucking her hair behind her ear. But her cheeks were faintly pink, and her gaze didn't leave mine right away. There's a kind of silence that isn't empty. It's full. That's what filled the room. Not the heater's warmth, not the faint hum of the city outside. Just that shared stillness, charged with something unspoken. She crossed her arms, more to steady herself than anything else. "You should send me the bill," she said. "It's fine," I murmured. I was already here. She tilted her head, studying me. "You're too kind for your age," she said. "Most young men wouldn't spend their evening fixing a heater for someone they barely know." "I don't think you're someone people barely know," I said before I could stop myself. Her lips parted slightly, as if to reply, but didn't. Instead, she looked away toward the window again, eyes distant. Outside, the wind rattled the glass. Inside, she stood a little too close, and I didn't move away. The air between us, warm now, felt heavier. She turned back, that same quiet half-smile on her face. "Thank you," she said, her voice softer now, "for fixing more than the heater." Before I could answer, a sharp knock echoed from the door. Her expression changed instantly, guarded, almost startled. She glanced at me, then at the door, her voice a whisper. "Don't say anything." The heater hummed on behind us as she walked to answer it, and the warmth suddenly felt like too much. The knock at the door was short, firm, then silence. She opened it halfway, murmured something low to whoever stood outside. I couldn't hear the words, just her tone, careful, controlled, the way people talk when they don't want to be overheard. When she came back, her expression was neutral again, too neutral. "Just a neighbor," she said, moving past me. But she didn't meet my eyes. We sat with 2 mugs of coffee she insisted on making. Steam rose between us, softening the space. "So," she said, fingers circling her cup, "you live alone?" I nodded. "Since last year. Girlfriend?" Her question sounded casual, but her voice dipped a little at the end. "Not really. We broke up when I left the city." I shrugged, pretending it didn't matter. She said I didn't know what I wanted. She smiled faintly. Did she say that kindly? No one says that kindly. That made her laugh, a real laugh this time. It changed her face, made her look younger, almost carefree. "And you?" I asked before I could stop myself. "Someone waiting for you?" Her hand paused midair, cup near her lips. She didn't answer right away. There was, she said finally. But he stopped waiting years ago. The way she said it wasn't sad, just factual. Like she'd made peace with being left behind. Or maybe she hadn't. The heater hummed again, filling the quiet. She leaned forward slightly, checking the vent. The movement brought her close enough that I could see the light catch a strand of silver in her hair. "Still working," I said softly. "So are you," she replied without thinking. Her hand brushed my sleeve as she leaned back. Just the edge of her fingers, accidental, maybe, but neither of us moved. That single point of contact, skin through fabric, felt louder than the heater, louder than her breathing. She noticed too. Her eyes flicked to mine, then away. "I forget how young you are sometimes," she said. "I forget how easily you say that," I whispered back. She blinked, caught off guard. Not by the words, but the way I said them. We didn't speak for a long time. The only sound was the slow ticking of the wall clock. She stood finally, walking to the window, arms folded. "It's complicated," she said. "I know. No, you don't." She turned, her voice softer now. "People talk. They always do. I'm not people." That made her look at me differently, like she wanted to believe it, but couldn't let herself. She exhaled, shaking her head with a smile that wasn't really a smile. "You should go before it gets dark." I stood. She followed me to the door. When I reached for the handle, her hand moved too. Our fingers met halfway. Neither of us pulled away. She whispered, barely audible, "You shouldn't make this harder than it already is." And yet, her thumb brushed lightly against mine, just once, as if to memorize the feeling before letting go. I stepped out into the cold evening. Behind the closed door, the heater kept humming, and I realized she hadn't said goodbye. I told myself I wouldn't go back. That was just a favor. One evening, a heater, nothing more. But 3 days later, her message appeared. "It's acting up again. If you have a minute." I stared at it too long before replying. "Be there soon." When I knocked, she opened the door, already smiling. "You didn't have to rush." I didn't, but we both knew I had. The room felt smaller this time. The heater worked fine, humming steadily in the corner. She must have known I'd notice. She offered tea instead of coffee, said something about the weather turning. Her voice was lighter, but her hands fidgeted with the cup handle. "You fixed it too well," she said, eyes flicking toward the vent. "Guess I'm good at pretending things are broken," I said quietly. Her laugh came out in a breath, quick, nervous. Then silence. A soft buzz broke it. Her phone, lighting up on the table. A man's name flashed briefly before the screen dimmed again. She reached for it, turned it face down. "Just someone from work," she said. Too quickly. I nodded, pretending to believe her. But the air shifted again, thicker now, weighted with everything we weren't saying. She walked closer, standing beside me by the window. The city outside blurred through the glass. Pale lights, slow rain. "You remind me of someone," she said after a moment. "When I was your age. He used to look at me the same way." I try not to react. "How's that?" Like he wasn't supposed to. Her shoulder brushed mine. A small thing, but it set my pulse off rhythm. I could feel the warmth of her skin through the sleeve of my jacket, her perfume curling in the air between us. She turned her head slightly. We were inches apart. Her breath touched my cheek when she whispered, "This isn't fair." "To who?" I asked. She opened her mouth, but a sudden knock startled us both. A friend's voice came from outside the door, casual, familiar. "Samira? You home?" She froze. I saw panic flicker in her eyes, quick, controlled. "In the kitchen," she called out, stepping back fast, adjusting her hair, her sweater. I moved toward the hall, but she stopped me with a hand on my arm. Firm. "Urgent." "Wait," she whispered. "Just stay there." Her fingers lingered longer than they needed to. When she finally let go, my skin still remembered the pressure. She opened the door, just a crack, speaking to her friend softly. Laughter forced but believable. From where I stood, I could see only her reflection in the glass, the practiced calm of someone who'd learned to hide what mattered. When the door closed again, she leaned against it, eyes shut, breathing out a long, shaky sigh. "That was close," I said. She nodded, then looked at me. Really looked. "We can't keep doing this." I stepped closer. "Doing what?" Her answer was a whisper, pretending there's nothing here. The silence after that felt electric, fragile and alive. Neither of us moved first. But when I finally did, it wasn't to touch her. It was to stand so close that I could feel the tremor in her breath. Her lips parted, half a second, half a heartbeat. Then she turned away, eyes shining with something between fear and longing. "You should go," she said. But her voice broke halfway through the sentence. And I didn't. I don't remember deciding to go back that night. It was late, too late, but I found myself outside her door again, the rain tapping against my jacket like it wanted me to turn around. When she opened the door, she didn't look surprised. Just tired. "You shouldn't be here," she whispered. "I know." She hesitated for a long time, then stepped aside. "Come in before someone sees." The heater hummed quietly. The air smelled like rain and jasmine. She'd changed into something loose, sleeves falling over her wrists, hair pulled up carelessly. For a while, neither of us said anything. I just watched her move around the room, gathering cups, straightening things that didn't need straightening. Finally, she spoke. "This can't keep happening." "I didn't come for that," I lied. She looked at me then, really looked, and the line melted between us. Her lips curved into something faint, almost sad. "You're too young to understand what this would cost me." "Maybe I do," I said quietly. "Maybe that's why I can't stop." The words hung there, trembling in the space between us. She turned away, pretending to wipe the counter, but her shoulders stiffened. "You think this is some story," she said, voice breaking. "That you could just walk in, make me feel." She stopped herself, breathing hard. I took a step closer, then another, until her reflection in the dark window was right beside mine. "I don't want to make you feel anything," I said. "I just want to be near you." She laughed under her breath, bitter, nervous. "You don't know what you're asking for." Her voice trembled on the last word, and I realized she wasn't angry. She was scared. She turned toward me suddenly, eyes bright with something raw. "You think this is easy for me? You think I haven't tried to stop?" "I don't want you to stop," I said. She stared at me, breathing fast. Then I reached up, slowly, and brushed a strand of hair from her face. My fingertips grazed her cheek, warm and trembling. Her breath caught. Her eyes fluttered closed for half a second before she forced them open again. "Don't," she whispered, but she didn't move away. Her hand lifted, hesitant, and rested on my chest, just above my heart. The contact was light, almost questioning. "Tell me this isn't wrong," she said. "I can't." Her fingers tightened, pulling slightly at my shirt. The air between us felt charged, every heartbeat too loud. I leaned closer, close enough to feel her breath mix with mine. She didn't back away this time. Her eyes dropped to my lips, then back up. Everything slowed, the clock tick, the hum of the heater, the sound of our breathing. And just as the space between us finally disappeared, the front door creaked. A voice called from outside, sharp and male. "Samira? You home?" She froze. I whispered, my mouth still inches from hers. "Who is that?" Her answer came out barely audible, trembling through the air between us. "My husband." The word hung in the air like smoke. "Husband?" For a heartbeat, I thought she was joking. But the look on her face, pale, still, said otherwise. Outside, his footsteps echoed on the porch. A key rattled in the lock. "Go," she whispered. Her voice was sharp this time, stripped of softness. "Out the back." I hesitated, frozen between instinct and disbelief. "You didn't tell me. There wasn't supposed to be anything to tell," she snapped, then lowered her voice. "Please, just go." Her hand gripped my arm, urgent, trembling. I could feel the fear under her skin, not just of him, but of what we'd almost done. The back door was narrow, leading to a small yard slick with rain. I slipped out just as the front door opened. I heard their voices through the thin wall, muffled, ordinary. He asked about her day. She laughed too loudly. The sound made something in my chest twist. I should have left. But I stayed under the dripping eaves, staring at the faint glow of her living room window. Then her voice softened, closer now. "I'll be right back," she said. A few seconds later, the back door opened. She stepped out, closing it behind her, rain soaking her hair immediately. "What are you doing here?" she whispered. "I had to know," I said. "All this time." She shook her head, water scattering. "You weren't supposed to know. He's gone most weeks." I told myself it was over a long time ago. Then why hide it? Because it's easier to live with a lie than with guilt, she said, eyes glistening in the half-light. Her voice cracked. You make me feel things I shouldn't. Do you understand that? I stepped closer, not trusting words. Rain rolled down her neck, catching on her collarbone. I wanted to reach out, to wipe it away, but I didn't. Her hands clenched at her sides. He doesn't love me anymore, she whispered. He hasn't in years. But if anyone saw us, I don't care who sees. You should, she said, eyes flashing. Because I do. She took a step back, but her heel hit the wall. Trapped between the rain and my silence, she looked up at me, breathing fast, pulse visible in her throat. You think this is simple, she said. No, I said, but it's real. Her breath caught again, that same tiny sound from before, half gasp, half surrender. And then something shifted. The wall between us, the lies, the distance, the rules, cracked just enough. She reached out suddenly, fingers brushing my face, lingering just below my jaw. Her touch trembled, but she didn't pull away. Tell me you'll walk away, she whispered. I can't. Rain slid down her cheek. Or maybe it was something else. Inside, a floorboard creaked. Her body went tense. She looked back toward the door, then at me, eyes wide. Tomorrow, she said breathlessly. Come back tomorrow, before he's home. Then she stepped back into the light and closed the door, leaving me outside in the rain, every heartbeat echoing with the same impossible truth. She hadn't denied wanting me. The next day, I told myself I wouldn't go. But by late afternoon, my hands were already on her gate. The rain had stopped, leaving the world smelling of wet earth and metal. I knocked once. The door opened before I could even lower my hand. She was waiting. No sweater this time, just a plain shirt, hair loose, eyes tired but alive in a way I hadn't seen before. You came, she said softly. You asked me to. Her smile flickered. I didn't think you would. I didn't think I could stay away. The heater was humming again, steady as a heartbeat. The same room, same quiet, but everything between us had changed. We stood there, unsure of what to do with our hands, our words, our breathing. She took a slow step forward. You shouldn't be here. I know. Then why are you? Because you told me to come back. Her lips parted, not for words, just breath. I lied, she whispered finally, when I said I didn't want this. I didn't move, didn't speak. The truth was too heavy for sound. She walked closer, one small step at a time. I've spent years pretending I'm fine, she said. That I'm not lonely, not curious, not still alive enough to want someone to look at me the way you do. Her voice shook. You shouldn't look at me like that. Then stop standing so close, I said quietly. Neither of us moved. She reached up, her fingers brushing my collar, the gesture clumsy, human. Her other hand came up, stopped midair, then settled against my chest, like she needed to feel something real to believe the moment was happening. I can't promise anything, she whispered. I'm not asking for promises. Her eyes met mine, raw, unguarded. For once, no hesitation. And then we just stood there, breathing the same breath. Close enough that her hair brushed my jaw when she looked down. Her voice came out barely audible. This is the line, isn't it? Yeah. And if we cross it, then we live with it. The silence that followed felt endless. The kind of silence where everything is said without words, apology, desire, fear, all tangled together. She took one more step, closing the final inch. My hand lifted, almost without thought, tracing the outline of her face, the soft tremor beneath her skin. Her eyes closed. The heater clicked, releasing a slow, warm sigh, the only sound between us. I leaned in, not to claim, but to confess. You make me forget what I'm supposed to be afraid of. She exhaled shakily, her forehead resting against mine. And you make me remember what it feels like to want something impossible. We stayed like that. No words, no movement, just two people caught between what they wanted and what they shouldn't. When she finally pulled back, her voice was quiet, certain. If we keep going, there's no turning back. I know, I said. That's why I came. Her eyes held mine for a long, trembling heartbeat, and then she whispered, then don't stop. Morning light crept through the curtains, soft and golden. The world outside was quiet. No rain, no knocks, no pretending. She sat on the edge of the couch, hair loose, hands wrapped around a mug she hadn't touched. I stood by the window, watching steam rise from the heater vent, curling into the still air like it had something to say. Neither of us spoke at first. The night before lived between us, in every glance, every breath. Finally, she said, "You shouldn't look at me like that. How else am I supposed to look at you? Like this never happened." I smiled a little. I tried that. It didn't work. She sighed, setting the mug down. "You're too young to understand what comes after something like this." "Maybe," I said. "Or maybe I just understand that sometimes what's right doesn't feel as alive as what's real." Her eyes softened. That same look she tried to hide a dozen times before. "You make it sound simple." "It's not," I said quietly. "But it's ours." She reached for my hand without thinking. Her fingers laced through mine, slow, uncertain at first. When she didn't pull away, I sat beside her. The warmth of her palm felt more honest than any words we'd shared. "I was afraid," she said, "not just of what people would think, but of what it would make me. And now," she thought for a moment, "then, now I think I've been waiting to feel something for too long." We sat in silence, the kind that doesn't need filling. Her thumb brushed over my knuckles, small, rhythmic, like she was memorizing them. "I still don't know where this goes," she said. "Neither do I admitted. "But I know where it starts." Her eyes met mine. Here," I said, squeezing her hand gently. For the first time, she didn't flinch away from the word us. She leaned her head against my shoulder, breathing out a laugh that wasn't forced. "You realize this heater might actually be the luckiest thing in this house." I grinned. I was thinking the same. We stayed like that for a while. No plans, no promises, just quiet understanding. She whispered, almost to herself, "You'll leave someday." "Maybe," I said, "but not today." Her hand tightened around mine. "Good." Then she turned slightly, pressing her forehead against my cheek. Not quite a kiss, not quite a goodbye. Just real. Outside, sunlight spilled across the window pane. Inside, the heater hummed softly, steady and sure. Maybe it was still the same machine I'd fixed that night. Or maybe we'd fix something else, something neither of us could name, but both could feel. Did you enjoy the story? What kind of stories would you like to hear next?